What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Espresso, and welcome back to another Infinite Warfare video here today on the channel. The beta is now finished up. We're now a week and a half away from the full launch of Modern Warfare Remastered and Infinite Warfare, so we'll get the full game and all its entirety and everything here with this in a very brief portion of time. But I've been saving this video until the very end because I didn't want to do it last week because we still had time to play on the Xbox One and PS4 for the beta within this weekend that just passed. So that said, I'm going to give you guys my honest opinions here on this. Do I like it? Do I not like it? Whatever it may be. I'm going to be talking about it here in a 100% honest fashion. You guys know that I've always been open with you guys and completely transparent. I've cut up on Call of Duty. I've praised Call of Duty. It really all comes down to my personal enjoyment level of the game. So that said, if you guys enjoy this, maybe drop a like down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing. But let's talk right now about my thoughts here with it. Firstly, and this might be something that some of you guys may not want to hear, I do quite enjoy Infinite Warfare. I know that by just me saying this, it's going to get somewhat of backlash here, and I, especially with comments recently, am expecting that. But all I'm saying is this is an opinion, and I've been a COD fan for years. The misconception that because I've been to DLC events and other things like that, that I'm selling out is absolutely absurd to me. I've been making COD videos way before I ever knew this would be a reality here with this. So it's an opinion, and people are allowed to have their own ones, so they're allowed to be different. If you guys have something that differs, by all means, you guys are more than welcome to be entitled to that, and I fully respect it, so long as you can respect my views here on this as well. So not only do I want you to respect the opinions in this video, but also if you see a comment you don't agree with, don't go picking fights with it just because the game is good, bad, purple, whatever it is to you. People are more than welcome to have their own opinions here on this. That said, though, there is some good and bad here within the beta that we've seen. I do enjoy it, but we're going to be breaking down both sides here, giving you my full opinion on it, not just the good stuff. I'm certainly going to be bringing you guys the stuff that I think is bad as well, because I really do want to see some changes made to some things, but overall, I still do enjoy the game. But the first thing here that I want to talk about is, once again, the good things. Get this out of the way, start it off in a positive fashion. Firstly, I think the game plays quite fluently. I do like the movement, I like the weaponry, all that stuff. Some things are hit or miss sometimes, but overall, I think it plays well. I think it's fun. Most of the maps are definitely fast-paced from what we saw. Primarily a good thing, though I will say in a little bit here we'll discuss why it can be bad just slightly. The weapons keep me intrigued, which is definitely a nice thing here with this. Weaponry is always one of those things that you want to have good stuff in a game, and especially with Infinite Warfare boasting so many weapon and weapon variants, it definitely is nice here. There's a lot of fun weapons. Of course, I'm a huge fan, though, of some of the weapons coming back, especially the classic weapons. We got to see a little bit of those via gun game. Not too much, but we did get to see a few of them, and they were tremendous fun, though. So that was definitely something very fun, and I'm really looking forward to grinding out prestiges so that we get prestige tokens and classic unlock tokens so that I can get my own weapons of my own. Honestly, I'm really excited to get my hands on the Intervention, or the TF-141 as it's known here in Infinite Warfare. Really want to get my hands on that, play around with a classic sniper, but there's a lot of other weapons that I think are really intriguing as well here in the classic category. The UMP-45, or the MAC-TAV, I think it's called in this one, is definitely going to be one that I'm playing around with. We played with that a little bit in gun game, and I had a ton of fun with that one. But regardless, you guys know what I mean here. There's a lot of cool stuff coming, especially in the way of weapons, that definitely keeps the game fresh and fun. Variants actually are done right, to an extent. We're going to put little asterisks on that here. We'll come back to it in a little bit, but I won't lie, some of the variants I think are overpowered a little bit, but what I enjoy is how the variants were done in this game. They're done properly and in a manner that you can genuinely earn them, and it's not all based on RNG luck. So salvage is a new introduction to Infinite Warfare and a way to craft weapon prototypes, or these weapon variants that we've played around with a lot within the beta, and then of course we'll come to know a little bit more, and probably a lot more come the full game, but it's a nice little mediator for earning and gambling with your luck here. So sure, it may take a little bit of time to get the salvage needed, and it might be tough to acquire that bit that gets you the weapon you want, but it keeps you playing the game and grinding it out to earn it. And if you really think about it, that's how it was previously. You really want to try and earn something here. It's not taking that shortcut of a pay to win that has been introduced to Call of Duty and a lot of other games in recent years. So I really like the idea of going back to this to be able to genuinely earn it. Though it may take some more time, you also save some money in the long run here, assuming that microtransactions get added into, say, COD points or something with this. And I do think that it's a nice way to do this and offer a genuine way to earn weaponry. The next thing that I really like is that it's relative and similar. Now, while some people argue it's too much like Black Ops 3, I think that it's different in its own regards, but also similar enough that it feels fluent to keep a continuation going between years, as in the naturals in Black Ops 3 will be natural in Infinite Warfare. The people that really thrived with that kind of playstyle will also thrive in Infinite Warfare because it is a very similar system while also having different properties to it. Yes, I can't understand where some people say it's a little too much like a mirror image, but in the same sense, I also think that it's also continuing what we've seen from Black Ops 3, where it's almost like a mindset change where it's, say, almost like tomato. One side can be perceived as good, one can be perceived as bad. It's really all up to the eyes of the user and which they see out of that. So I think it is something that's relative and similar, but also enough that it is its own different entity, and I like that about that, where you can still be good at one game and then carry it over into a next. But overall, I guess I can understand where that one kind of gets some flack, but regardless, we're going to move on to the movement. This one, I think, gets a little bit too much of a bad rap here for it, because the movement is very similar to Black Ops 3's, yes, but I do feel like you are a lot heavier, and I do believe it's a very good step in the right direction. It is, in my mind, without a doubt, the closest we've been to boots on the ground, and I know that I'm going to hear, well, there's boost jumping, it's not boots on the ground, but the game does not heavily require you to jump around like Advanced Warfare or even Black Ops 3 did. Those really relied on the movement system, and while you can wall run, while you can get to higher levels of elevation with the thrusters in Infinite Warfare, I still feel like I don't want to do that as much in this game, where I feel heavier, I feel more grounded, and I guess that's, again, a personal thing, but it's something that I definitely believe is a closer or closest feel we've had to boots on the ground since Call of Duty Ghosts. I guess all that out of the way, we can talk a little bit about the negatives here, what I do think needs some improvement, and I will say that firstly, it's a beta, so this is where players are supposed to play, they're supposed to find the bugs, the things they don't particularly like, but it is something that gives developers data and what they can take away from the beta and then use and decide what they want to change up in the full build of the game. Now, the first thing is lag compensation. This is something that I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed within the beta. It got a little bit progressively better as the time went on from the first weekend to the second weekend, but it is still very relevant and something that you still will die around corners. And I actually commentated a top 5 fails over on Carnage where somebody was completely down the hallway of Frontier, but somebody was still shooting at the entrance on one of the head glitches, and they were nowhere near where they were shooting, but they still were getting hit markers, and they ended up dying completely out of the play, and it almost looked like they got shot through like 3 or 4 walls on Frontier. So that's something that it definitely does need work. Lag compensation, I guess, is something that will always be that evil there that's present. It's just a matter of how evil it actually is, because whenever you're on an online connection, peer-to-peer or dedicated servers, there's always that connection that has to produce latency in some way, shape, or form, and therefore there's always going to be some sort of disadvantage for one player or another, and trying to equal that will definitely be apparent in some ways. So my only gripe is the fact that I want to get rid of the shoot first, die first mentality. While it's been around in other games, it definitely is very apparent here within this one, and I'm hoping that by the time the full release of the game is out, it's something that is fixed to at least a degree where it's not as bad as it was. And once again, I did see progress from weekend 1 to weekend 2, so to me that's a good sign. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is the spawns, because I personally don't believe that I was a fan of the spawns in any way, shape, or form. It might be the fact that the maps that we played were probably going to be the smallest ones that we have in all of Infinite Warfare, so that size of map mixed with the movement, speed, and all that kind of stuff, it's a very fast-paced game as is because of the movement and then the rush mentality with it, but mix that in with smaller maps and it's definitely going to be something that spawns get overtaken very quickly. People are going to be able to push spawns while the system has not registered that there is enough to flip the spawns out or something like that, so it's something that I completely understand how this works right now, and Exclusive Ace made a very good point about this. I watched his video very briefly, but I got to hear this a little bit here with this, that he does make a great point where developers don't get near as much data on spawns while in-house testing, as in with QA, the QA department, the quality assurance department of the studio, to make sure that the spawns are all good. They don't get near as much data just by testing with themselves than they would with the masses and a full release of this, so a beta does give a lot of feedback here with this. I can guarantee you that they have probably about 1,000 times the data now from this one weekend or 2 weekends that they had for the entire development process of QA and the spawns with the multiplayer system. So that's something that I definitely expect to be fixed here, or at least tweaked a little bit, come either the launch of the game or very shortly thereafter the launch of the game. Another thing I wasn't too big a fan of was Ghost. I really understand how the perk works. I've used Ghost for years, I've gone against Ghost for years, but I'm just not a fan of the way that it was backpedaled a little bit within the development process, where Ghost is now something that you don't have to even move to be concealed. Previously, Call of Duty's made a great stride forward in it, trying to make this at least a little bit more fair for players that like to rush around and all that kind of stuff, where Ghost was something that was only usable when you were moving. It wasn't something that would conceal you from UAVs and other things like that when you were actually sitting still, but The Ghost perk in Infinite Warfare does that, and for me right now, I think that it's OP. Maybe I'm a bit salty because I choked a bunch of nukes this weekend off of Ghost, people sitting in corners with Ghost or something similar, but it is something that can't really be countered, and to me kind of promotes camping in a sense whenever it doesn't have that hindrance with that perk. So I'm hoping that it gets adjusted. I don't know if it will. That's something that time will tell, but that's just a personal little gripe for myself here with this. Another thing is the health regeneration time. While there's no statistical data analysis yet that can be made here with this, it definitely does seem like the health regen is about 150% of that of the normal. The normal being 100%, so if you want to equate that, about a time and a half for the normal regen health to take place in Infinite Warfare. So if you get hit critically, you're definitely going to be something that it takes a little bit longer to regen. You got to stay out of the fight a little bit longer. But also there's things like Marked for Death where players don't regen for 5 seconds, which is kind of a little bit of a trait that I'm not too big of a fan of. And then also there are traits, I forget what combat rig it was here with this, it might have been Merc, where you had the ability to regen health faster. So it's something that I wish it was all just kind of uniform again. I don't like that ability of almost having those crutch traits used in games, and definitely something that I'm hoping gets a little bit of a buff here with this. Gun perks, I think, can be a little bit detrimental at some points because there are some things that are a little bit OP, if you want to put it that way, I guess. Such things being that there are weapons that have infinite range for the damage. There's no drop off at all. So even if you just get hit 1 or 2 times from some weapon, say in the head or the chest, at long range, if they have that ability on their weapon, that weapon perk, you're still gonna get melted by it. So there's some things that I just kind of wish would be a little bit tweaked here, but I definitely understand where they're coming from. It's weapon variants. They're trying to promote different play styles, things like that. But it is something that I guess in the grand scheme of things, it could be done a little bit better, but overall, I'm still not too upset about that. And then finally, the last thing that I want to point out is just something that I just want to put out there to complain about. Whose idea was it to put a grenade in the game that exploded 4 times? I always run across this here in the game, and it always frustrates me, but other than that, I really don't have too many gripes about the game. I quite enjoyed it once again. It is something that I think with the beta now out of the way, there's definitely data for developers to make the final tweaks and the final things, changing to maybe put out a day 1 patch and be able to update some gameplay mechanics, some gameplay features, and things alike here going forward with Infinite Warfare. But overall, that is my thoughts. Once again, I do enjoy the game. I do have some complaints with it, but overall, I do enjoy it and had a lot of fun with the 2 weekends of the beta that we had. And I had a lot of fun just being able to stream, get gameplay, all that good stuff. And I'm looking forward to the full release here of it. And of course, Modern Warfare Remastered is going to be awesome too. So we got a lot of cool stuff to look forward to. I'd love to hear your thoughts though down there in the comment section down below. We're going to wrap it up, but I would love to hear your thoughts down there. So make sure you drop your feedback down there. Love it, hate it, any reason in particular why you do, leave it down there. But hopefully you guys did enjoy. And if you guys did, make sure you drop a like rating down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing to stay up to date with everything Infinite Warfare. Thank you guys so much for watching though. My name is Nikolai Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.